All righty.
Essentially, Chelsea did a lot of work last year. You know, this year is just basically just
Righty.
All right, everyone. I think we're going to get started here. We're going to call the order the meeting. This is the second meeting of the month of January, the 22nd. We have 3 guest speakers scheduled. We currently have 1 guest speaker here. So we're going to turn it over to Chief Repola. We're going to give you kind of a open time slot here until some other guest speaker shows up. You have the floor, and thank you for coming.
Sure.
So,
and you guys record too, right?
We are recording, yes.
All right, so I'll stay close. The reality is that when I heard that I only got 10 minutes, I arranged to have your other speakers stopped out on 17th. So right now they're trying to find their proof of insurance. So this is going to work out great. Hey, thanks for letting me stop in. I just thought since the beginning of a new semester, and actually I'm trying to get to all of your meetings if I can, just to check in case there's anything else going on that we haven't had a chance to talk about. Or my biggest concern is that you've heard complaints or you've got concerns about something that's happened and we haven't had a chance to talk. I want to be as available as possible, as well as any of the other members of the team. So anytime if it's outside of one of these meetings and something is concerning you, I think Cody's got my cell phone number. Give that to whoever. Give me a call. Unfortunately, I usually have it with me and try to get right back to you. But I thought that this would be a good opportunity to share with you a couple of things that are coming, like the classroom security stuff, as well as some programs that we're trying to do on a monthly basis now. And I know you've heard us talk a couple times about, or if you haven't, we'll hit it again. Classroom security project is something that the Chancellor funded just about a year ago. I think it was late last winter, and invested almost $300,000 in a system that has allowed us to utilize the existing access control system. So your ID cards that get you in and out of buildings, that system has allowed us to also put in these panic buttons. So there's one, that yellow one's taped up right now. I'll tell you a secret, it works, but don't hit it. And then the little Red Cross first aid kit type box on the wall, that's a bleeding control kit or a trauma first aid kit. In there are things like tourniquets and whatnot. In the event that if some bad thing were to happen in our building and someone was in here and who was bleeding profusely, there are some items in there that with some basic first aid and maybe some of our trauma kit training, you could sustain someone longer. The way that the system works is when that button gets hit, and eventually there's going to be a button up here on the podium, it locks down this room and every room in the building that has the locking system. So like the glass study hall or study rooms and whatnot, those don't secure because it's not a place where we would encourage someone to shelter in place. This room, though, affords a certain amount of protection. But when it locks that down, these blue strobes in all of the other rooms go off. So if you were down the hall or up on an upper floor, the strobe would go off in that room as well. And it's basically just a clue that something is happening in the building. And all those rooms will lock down. Then out in the hall, there are also blue strobes. The strobe outside of this room would be flashing. The rest would not, unless people also either had an incident or out of kind of panic, for lack of a better term, hit their buttons. So what it tells the first responders is that the room where the flashing light is in the hall, it directs our response here. Our assumption is that it's going to be used in an active shooter or an active harmer. I would be happy if we never had to use it, but the reality in the times that we live in, they can happen anytime, anywhere. So along those lines, we will be pushing out some information. And in fact, I might have talked to someone in here who would see you today that was talking about doing an article. we're going to be ready sooner than later. So Wendy, I'm not sure if Wendy has your contact. She'll be reaching out to you. We're also working with OIT to produce a video, probably a YouTube type video, or actually it's good quality, but there have been a lot of questions that we're not going to be able to probably answer in a couple of online or newsletter type solutions. So we're going to push that out as well. So it'll be something that we will also incorporate into the active harmer / active shooter trainings that we do for information sessions. So, and we're going to do those on a monthly basis to just try to get the information out. While this technology is not new, it's the first time that I'm aware of that an institution has done it retroactively. So in some K through 12 entities in newer schools, they've built it into the buildings, and I'm sure they've done some retro, but to do it on this scale is a little different. So I don't think that we're necessarily bleeding edge, but we're kind of leading edge when it comes to trying to utilize this and utilize it in a fashion where it's not disruptive. I'm starting to schedule meetings with faculty because one of the concerns that we heard from them early on, and in fact, I think you and I were in an ASAL meeting when it came up, was that for some of the classrooms having that fogging on the glass, it's been inconvenient because people will now go into classrooms when things are still going on. And there's no good solution for that. The idea was that in a glass door, if someone was really trying to create mass panic or actually harm people, if there's glass, they've got aiming points. So to at least obscure the vision was to make that less pliable. But don't want to sound like we've gone into panic. But what we've tried to do, and I think what the team has done, is we've pretty much hardened what is otherwise viewed in tactical response as a soft target. So it increases the ability for someone to stay here if there's an active harmer in the building, stay here until it's no longer safe. So that's the concept. We'll be doing some messaging. And in fact, I think the last time I was here, someone asked about doing a drill. We've drilled it, but trying to figure out how do we do it kind of like a fire drill or something similar. We're going to see if we can't maybe do something on a weekend. Of course, hardly anyone's here on a weekend, or find a time in the year, maybe in between semesters, where we may be able to do that. Because the concept's actually for the people in the building, it's still run, hide, fight. And if you've seen any of either our active harmer stuff or anything else that's out there, those are the concepts. Your first option is to figure out what's going on and try to get out. If you can't get out, hide out, and preferably in a place that is safer than sitting out in the hallway. And then if you can't get out and the threat comes to you, that you take them out. So the idea is if you had to shelter in place, you would not open that door. A uniformed police officer, whether from our agency or Aurora, would come, clear a room, and help you out. I still have time. If the other speakers show up, let me know, and I'll cut this short. But let me ask, how many of you have seen the Skillsoft run, hide, fight video that's available through your account? It's about 22 minutes. All right, so that one is much longer than what we do in the active harmer presentation. The active harmer is only about 6 minutes, but the 20-minute one gives you more idea about what to expect should there be an incident and a law enforcement agency is responding because they don't know who the threat is. So the longer ones give you a little bit of idea of kind of what our tactics are and then what you would do if you sheltered in here. If those doors were secure and the light's not flashing out there, we have a better idea that the threat's not in here. But since we don't know where if we haven't located the threat yet, and even if we have, the assumption is there's always one more, we still go through a very specific and thorough tactical search of the entire building. So that information is going to be both in what's written. We'll also push some stuff out in the video. And then I mentioned that we're doing the active harmer trainings monthly now. We frequently get requests to do them after something has happened, whether it was the shootings in Texas or the shootings in Las Vegas. There's a lot of interest. But getting a room and getting that scheduled, we can be quick, but sometimes that may still take a week or 2 weeks to get it set up. We're going to start setting them for one a month this semester. We'll be in, so we did one downtown last week, and this Thursday, I should check to make sure I know the room number, we're going to be, I think, and actually head to south at from 10, hang on here, stop talking to me, phone. 10 to 11:30, and it's L28, 20, so Ed 2 South 2306. Next month, we'll do it a different day, a different time, and we're going to feed people. I figure we might get better participation, and I'm inviting our officers to attend those as well. Not all of them have seen the full presentation. They've seen the videos, they've done the tactical training, but I also want them to be familiar with what we're advising all of our affiliates on campus. So they would be there as well to answer questions or just to kind of connect with the affiliates on campus. We'll keep doing that at least through April. We'll kind of see what May is looking like, and if we're getting a pretty good interest and participation, we'll do it in May as well. And it takes, I mean, a good hour to 90 minutes. We schedule them for an hour and a half to allow time for some additional questions, but getting through, we do a short video. We use the Houston video, which is about 6.5 minutes, covers the main topics, but then we go through some of the other resources on campus. We'll also spend a little bit of time talking about pre-attack indicators. So while we've done a lot here, I was gonna say as much as we can, but I wouldn't go quite that far. We've done a lot here to harden our classrooms as targets. The next step is try to figure out how do you identify when a threat is imminent, or what are the behaviors, say for an individual that we might know from our community that is starting to experience some problems and might be moving towards lashing out and either harming themselves or harming others. And I'm sure that you guys are all familiar with the care team. Care team, and there's also a faculty and staff assistance team. They're there to, when they hear of concerning behavior, try to intervene and assist the individual to either try to de-escalate or mitigate whatever it is that's creating problems, and address that in say at a lower threshold. But when the behavior starts rising to the level where the type of person we're concerned about that might act out and take out their frustrations on the community is someone who's feeling, they've been wronged, they need to get even, there's been injustices, they're having other stresses. So there's things like that we can begin to educate ourselves as a community as behavior that you should tell someone when you see that. And our care team and the FAST team are pretty good about reaching out and being proactive and checking on folks to see if there's something that either the institution can do to help them, or if their conduct and behavior is such that they need to be removed from the environment. And those things are sometimes done at a low level, like an exclusion, which is like a no trespass order. Depending on the level of concern or their condition, it might mean an involuntary commit into a hospital for a psychiatric evaluation. So that's another area that we're looking to try to expand some of the information in the teaching. Our colleagues at the University of Colorado in Boulder do about a 2-hour session on pre-attack. I kind of like what they're doing, but we're also pulling some additional information from some more recent literature on pre-attack behavior and trying to incorporate that as well. Felicia? No. So it's basically information for the average person and what they can do to increase their awareness and begin to develop thoughts about if an incident were to happen wherever you are, in a classroom, at a mall, what you would do, the run, hide, fight. But we also share a little bit about what you could expect from a tactical response. So if you were sheltered in here and police or the sheriff's department were to respond to that venue, what you need to do to make it easy for them to come through and clear the room and understand what they won't do while there's still an active threat. So basically they move through, they're looking for the threat, they won't stop to aid people. They might identify where injured are, but then they keep moving to wherever the gunshots are. So we're not going to try to turn you into tactical experts. Yes. Yeah, so the online video, the longer one, theirs is like 5 or 6 steps. It's like figure out, get out, hide out, help out, take out, call out. It's 6. So we just want to give you that situational awareness. And then, like I said, and in fact, I think it's on the online video, they said there's probably more of a chance that you would be struck by lightning than to necessarily be caught in one of these. But because we hear so much about it when it does happen and the media really fixates on it, it's on a lot of people's thoughts or a lot of people's minds. In fact, I have a bunch of grandkids, and one of my kids who's got 2 toddlers said, so what does a parent do with young children? There's a site out there where someone who's a young mom has researched it and has some pretty good information on if you've got a stroller or a toddler, what you should do, how you should plan to respond. When we were younger, when I was younger, I mean, there was fire alarms, and there was a little bit about the Cold War stuff, but we didn't think the threat. Yeah, stop, drop, and roll. Duck and cover. Anyone, if you've been in the military, you know what duck and cover is. So, So anyway, I'm probably taking too much time, but the thing that I definitely would be interested in, if you're getting any feedback on the run, hide, fight training, the active harmer that we're doing about what's working or attractive and what's not, it's a pretty good product that the team has put together, but we want it to keep up with what people are interested in or people are concerned about. So don't hesitate to email me directly, or Wendy, who's our communications person, let her know. She's the one that puts most of the promotional material together, but I want it to be relevant. I want it to be useful. Any other questions while I'm here? Yes, sir. I think it's 10 a.m. to 11:30. It's an Ed 2 South. That's L28, right? I don't remember these by building numbers. Ed 2 South, 2306. So actually almost the same location down. And there will be, I'm not sure what we're serving. Last week was Panera. Any suggestions? Chipotle? It's going to be breakfast, sort of. Okay, we may do Panera again because it's right across the street. You know, and I mean, how viable do you think an evening one is if we were to do one on campus at like 5? Or are people pretty much off? I mean, we've served like pizza or something. Or Jimmy John's or whatever you got there.
Do you guys don't want to do a Senate one, like on an off Monday? All senators coming?
We could do that.
But also invite the student
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
And we go larger. I mean, if we're going to provide food, probably this kind of setting helps because people can throw things on the table.
Why don't we
Yeah,
talk about
yeah.
this after offline about putting together a Senate and possibly in February on an off weekend. If you guys are okay with that, that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I want to get to as many different audiences as possible, both to educate people, but also get some feedback on what's working. Okay. I think I'm actually done.
Well, thank you.
Anything else you need from me? Okay.
Anybody else have any questions for Chief Post?
Just call me Randy. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'm
Appreciate
gonna
it.
hang
Thanks
for
for
a
coming. We'll talk more about this afterwards.
Yeah, give me a shout and we'll get something set up.
Absolutely. All right. So, Blair, any news from our speaker? Nope. I know Jacqueline Jones had just recently today come back into town from out of the country, so she was kind of up in the air. She said she would try to make it. It doesn't seem like she's here tonight. So we are just going to move on. Actually, do we want to talk a little bit about the Skin Smart Campus Initiative? Do you want to come up and give a little brief? Yeah. So one of the proposals that was brought forth was this idea to bring sunscreen to the campus. And Blair will talk a little bit more about the Skin Smart Campus Initiative, and I'll chime in if you need me to. So, but.
Well, there's two separate things. There is the sunscreen dispensers, which is actually separate from the Skin Smart or Skin Safe initiative. So I'll start with the sunscreen dispensers. So a girl in my lab is a 4th year medical student, and she works with this lady at UC Health whose husband passed away from melanoma. And so she started this initiative to provide sunscreen at no cost. And so they put some dispensers at Boulder trailheads. And so if you're going to go hike, you can just get some sunscreen, toss it on, no cost. So it turns out that they have funding, so we can do these sunscreen dispensers for free. And they will provide sunscreen for 2 years in these dispensers. So that's really awesome. So Cody and I throwing together a meeting Friday morning. We're going to meet with some people who are planning on campus. We can figure out where we're going to put them, how many we're going to put, all those types of things. And so that's moving forward. I don't know as much about the Skin Safe initiative. However, it's like a designation, like a smoke-free campus. So pretty much our campus will pledge to not provide materials in which people can receive skin cancer. Like we won't give coupons out to tanning beds. We won't promote off-campus housing that has tanning beds, things of those sorts. And we're pretty much already almost there because we don't have those types of things. Like other campuses, you have a card where money gets loaded on it. That's part of your tuition. We don't have that. So we're probably like 80% of the way there. I think the biggest thing we're missing is a informational website. And Cody and I also talked about that, and I think it's gonna be pretty easy to implement. I think I'm missing a couple of the finer points, but the 4th year medical student who spearheads all this is actually doing some residency interviews out of town. So I have a feeling that's what we got a little mixed up with Dr. Della Valle coming to talk because he is in charge of her. So yeah, that's what's up with all that.
Can I just throw out, if you're going to do a website, I think it'd be really good to connect it to the student health promotion. So
Oh.
as you guys graduate or move, there's a staff member that helps to continue
Awesome.
to update it and keep it, so rather than a separate one.
Good idea. Okay.
Great. Well, thanks again, Blair.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for that. That's awesome. You know, Blair really has spearheaded this, and I think she's doing a fantastic job with that. So thank you again, Blair. All right, so we'll hear more about that maybe some other time once we get all the sunscreen dispensers and what else we need for the Skin Smart or the Skin Safe Campus initiative, maybe later at a later meeting. For now, we're going to break out into committee sessions. So where are all your committees? Find your VPs, and we'll meet back here in about 10, 15 minutes. Awesome. Perfect. So we're going to do a brief about, give a brief description of some events you have going on. We're going to start off with legislative affairs. Anything going on in the next couple of weeks or months or days?
So we are setting up a 3-part series.
Yes.
Where we have reached out to some awesome professionals from like various backgrounds in nursing and medicine and pharmacy and government appointees and stuff, and we're trying to put together, at the very least, speakers, but potentially panels. So in the emails we articulated we would either love for you to come speak or be part of a panel, and everybody was like, oh, that sounds great. So we're going to do one each month in February, March, and April. And we're just kind of putting together what dates would work best, and we're going to see if those work out for the speakers that we're looking to get.
That's awesome. Great job, Ledge. Any other things going on?
Citizen Advocacy, which was done last year, will be returning, which is just a cool event where students can come, get free food, and learn how to actually advocate on kind of a government level in both local and state and national government. And it's taught by a lady who works for an advocacy group. And we'll be doing that, I think it's the second week of February. I'll have to make sure exactly which day, but so it'll be coming.
Great. Get those flyers out.
We will.
Awesome. All right, finance. Jump over to you.
All right. So in finance committee, we discussed an upcoming class, financial wellness for the medical professional. Split by date, so we're going to start submitting for the room and different things will be on March 7th.
March 7th.
Around 5 p.m. And we're also going to be sending out emails regarding the Excellence Awards. So I sent an updated few forms for that. And last but not least, we haven't signed the process.
Awesome. Thank you, finance. Move on to diversity.
All right, we do have Chinese New Year coming up next Friday, the 2nd. We're going to have that at noon on the bridge. We're going to have lots of food. We're also going to have a raffle with hopefully some giveaways. And those will be announced probably Wednesday or Thursday with the flyer. As soon as we confirm what we're going to have to be on those giveaways, that flyer will come out. Also, we're just in the middle of planning the events for the rest of the spring. So biggest one, Chinese New Year, next Friday on the bridge.
Next Friday on the bridge, Chinese New Year at 12 p.m. Awesome. Great job, diversity. Moving on to philanthropy. Did you send it to my UC Denver account?
Yes. So Kids for Kids is starting tomorrow. We have a little engaging with and everything like that. So we're gonna set up the things tonight. We have the flyers all made and everything. Different programs have different things to donate to this. I sent Cody a little video link kind of
Pull it up.
talks about what Kids for Kids really is and everything. If you guys could forward on all this stuff, I'm gonna send it in everything to the Senate. Post it on the Facebook pages. Really show your classes this video. It's a pretty cool video. Everything, I think it's gonna really get a lot of movement going for our drive work. This is gonna go on for, I believe, another few weeks until February 16th. So we're already 1 week behind, but we'd love to have all your guys' help as far as promoting this.
Awesome. We'll post it on the Senate Facebook page. Let's watch it now, though. You guys hear it?
This is a Kids for Kids bag. What goes in it is everyday basic medical supplies. Who packs it? You. You. Your family, everyday basic medical supplies. It's for Kids bag. This is a Kids for Kids bag. What goes in it is everyday basic medical supplies. Who packs it? You. Your schools, your friends, your family, your companies all get to be a part of this amazing story. For over 20 years, Project Cure has been delivering medical supplies to over 130 countries around the world. With this experience, we discovered another great need in these underserved communities, and that is everyday basic medical supplies. If a child gets hurt, families might have to travel a long distance by bicycle, bus, or even on foot to receive care at the nearest hospital or medical clinic. Working with pediatricians and nurses in these countries, Project Cure developed Kids for Kids to give parents in developing countries the supplies they need to provide basic care at home. Due to a lack of access to basic health care, millions of children die each year of preventable and treatable conditions. Project Cure's goal is to deliver these supplies, educate these communities, and restore this health to the world. This is where you come in. Order your bags, gather your friends, make your $5 donation for shipping, pick up a list of supplies, drop them off at the nearest location, and we'll do the rest.
Megan with the Project Cure team. We're here in Uganda hand delivering these Kids for Kids to clinics and to the officials at the clinic so that they can explain to these families how to use these medical supplies that you guys packed.
Every child deserves a healthy life. Come join the movement and see the change you can make.
So make sure to send that video to your classes, and you'll see the bins out there with a list of supplies that we should need for those, and we'll post that on the Facebook. Any other events for Philanthropy?
We do have another event coming up March 24th. We have our Project Angel Heart, and I believe that's nice. And then we'll be like delivering different meals around town.
Great. All right. Great job, Philanthropy. We're going to move on to student life.
Let's see. First of all, thank you for those of you that shared your appreciate that. Next, we have a big event coming up next month on February 27th. We're going to do it for 2 hours of sound open. So it'll be from 7:30 to 9:30.
Cool.
And then we also talked about maybe having a conference in building 500. Would anybody be interested in that? It would be over lunchtime, so you would have to stay within the hospital.
I think Patrick just ordered new ping pong balls.
Yes.
So you should be in good shape for it.
Wait, is there a game in 500?
There are ping pong tables, pool tables, foosball tables, air hockey, gym space, pianos.
500?
Yeah.
The hardcore side is looking new.
Yeah. Anyway, shh.
One of the main purposes of that would be to show students that going to school.
Yeah.
It's like if it's something that we clearly all are unaware of that. show of hands, who would want to participate in something like that in your class? All right, what about ball rolling? And more to come.
Awesome. Thank you, Student Life. All right, communications. All right. You did send out a link to a survey about the Student Lounge. So we have a survey about what's utilized in the Student Lounge, what needs to be improved, what are we doing well in that space, along with, you know, do you even know we have a Student Lounge? It actually says, like, I didn't even know we had one in Building 500. So in the email that was sent out with the minutes, there is a link. And Will, if you would put that in the minutes as well, that link to that survey, that would be great for you to distribute to your classes. So they are kind of brought into the fold of this whole Student Lounge space and what they want for the space. We've been getting a lot of feedback. I think we have over 200 responses already, which is fantastic. So thank you to everyone who sent out the link to their classes. Thank you to everyone who participated. We've got a lot of good feedback, and next meeting we'll show you a little bit more of some of the responses from people and some of the data. So we'll keep you updated on that. Those responses will also go towards some of our proposals, and potentially we also want to hear, we'll talk more about this in unfinished business, but we want to talk more about different types of proposals. So thank you to the committees. Appreciate all your hard work. We're going to move on to the approval of the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? All right, the motion passes. All right, so really moving on to the next order, the President's report. The first thing I want to tell you guys is I have a whole new mindset for this semester. And I know it's kind of, I had a really like an epiphany moment. I read a book and was like, wow, leisure reading never really happens. So it was one of those things. I got to read a book. It was amazing. So I'm pivoting on my goal of infrastructure, and I want to change that to more of a dialogue with the student population. I'm tasking everybody with one goal, and that's after this meeting to talk to their fellow students about what's going on in Senate. How much do they know about Senate? Send them a link, get them involved, have them come to a meeting, bring one friend with you. We're probably not going to have enough room if everybody brought one friend, but I encourage you to do it at different meetings. Just say, hey, come to Senate. Maybe you see a person a couple years younger or somebody who might not know what Senate is or what Senate does. Bring them along one time for one meeting. So my whole pivot was to encourage you to be active and reach out and talk to people. Form a habit where you're engaging the student population and really getting excited about what you do, because what you do here is really important. You know, you represent the students here on campus, and you represent them to not only the university, not only our university, but to all the college, all the CU system, and to the state and to the rest of the people in the regents and things like this. So you have a lot of power. You have a large voice here, and you want to share that voice with your fellow students. So I encourage you to reach out again to at least one person and get some feedback. That's my task for you all. Go out and talk to somebody and bring them along. So that's what I mean by like student curiosity. It kind of came off weird when I wrote it, but I really want you to engage. The next thing I want to report is we are getting together a council of councils. So anybody who has been talking about student Senate activities at their council meeting, I'm going to know, and I'm going to give you a star for it. So that's going to be awesome. If you don't do that already, please ask your council presidents to have like a 10-minute slot during their council meetings so you can give updates of what's going on in Senate. What are we doing? And also bring some of their ideas back here, because we want to know what other councils are doing so we can engage them and bring them along. Yeah, Felicia.
Do you have a council member come? Would you then allow time in your meeting to let them speak
I would be absolutely happy to. I think we usually are very punctual in these meetings. We get out before 7 o'clock for the most part, so we usually have it until 7. We will give, if somebody wants to come from a council and give a 5-minute spiel about an activity or event and get support from Student Senate, bring them along. No hesitation.
I think it would encourage them if they want successful event to partner with us.
Yeah.
And say, hey, you get to your voice out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So we're going to have our Council of Council meetings this Thursday, I believe. Again, this is really about also doing something like this, encouraging councils to talk to each other and the council presidents, and also finding out who's been good and talking to their councils. But there's a lot of interesting things we're going to get out of that, and I'm really looking forward to the Council of Council meetings. But there's a lot of work that can be brought together here. That's all I have. We're going to move on to the treasurer's report. So Michael and Jason. Okay. All right. So unfinished business. We talked about this for a while. I think the last 2 meetings. But we've been tasked with putting together a proposal for some of the Chancellor's funds for these large projects. And this is also something we want to get around to the student body. So what do students really want on this campus? And I've actually heard a couple of things from the graduate school, which is parking and puppies. I don't know about the P&P. We've heard about other things, including. Is that what you? Okay, I heard it from somebody, and somebody said. That's right. Yeah, that's where I heard it.
People on this campus tend to care about is parking. And I paused and I was like, and puppies. And I was like, at all of our town halls, everybody always wants a puppy room.
Yeah.
And everybody laughed, and then apparently that's now just a thing.
That's a thing. So Zach's offhand comment has become the will of the students. I've heard.
It was like once a semester they would have puppies.
That's amazing.
It happened once.
It did. So from my understanding, we've tried to do, they had it last week? Where?
What? Why is this not advertised?
Yeah.
Send a puppy with advertisement around him.
So there are some legality hurdles to go through about that, and that's been the holdup for years, and that was my understanding of why we didn't have puppies during finals week. However, I'm sure we could make a proposal.
If people really want to make a proposal, it's a risk management issue. Really, if somebody gets better, is allergic, or there's a new animal policy on all foods allowed or not. And like you said, I know there's puppy things that happen all the time on campus, office spaces and whatnot. My only encouragement is if as a Senate you want to sponsor it, you guys know what the rules are, and we follow them and we work with them. So I don't think anything's a true no. I think it's how do we understand that's the risk management and work with them to make sure we do it well. Because you want events to go well.
Yep. And safely, obviously.
Yeah. Just something that a waiver could possibly take care of, like if we do it in a certain room, could you have a waiver ready?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a no. I honestly think it's if you guys go, this is the most important thing to Anschutz. These are our 5 priorities. One of them is a puppy room. Then we should look at what does it mean of a puppy room.
People would be. Yeah, there is a lot of.
I think it's if you guys identify that as one of your priorities, then we can just talk this good and figure out how to do it.
Yeah. So that's another thing, actually. What
about a kitty room?
A yoga kitty cat cafe thing. So Jan made up a good point. If that's a priority, again, when I tasked you with also going out and talking with people, I want you to get their feedback of what they think is a priority for this campus. We're gonna I think we'll put up a poster board, and just when you have ideas of what some of the students want to make a priority on campus, I want you to bring it here and write it on this poster board that we will keep, and we will start accumulating a list and narrowing them down. We want to get at least it down from like hundreds of possibilities. We can spend money on hundreds of things to maybe 2 or 3 concrete examples. So we'll decide, we'll whittle down those things here in Senate, and then write the proposals and submit them to the Chancellor for some of those additional funds.
And I want to work hand in hand with you all too, as you identify, there may be offices that that's actually their responsibility to do, but they don't know that it's an issue. So I think as you guys find those issues and bring them up, we also can take them straight to those offices and potentially get them fixed there. So that's why it's important too, is as you unearth them, we can figure out where and how, so you guys don't necessarily have to pay for all of them either.
Cool. So, proposals for the Chancellor, we are working on a template. We have a draft template ready to go, but we'll probably put something on the drive in the, probably sometime later this week. What I'm gonna say is, before you guys are always welcome, everyone in Senate is welcome to propose ideas here. And I think having like a unified poster board or something to allow us to kind of put our ideas down, and eventually, I think in March, we will probably put those ideas together and actually coalesce a few concrete ideas of what we want. That would be a good way to do it. So up until, I'm gonna say, the second meeting in March, which is the 12th, the 20th, that might be spring break. So the 12th, which we actually just talked to Chief Repola about that. We're thinking about doing the safety demonstration at a Senate meeting. So we would do it on that date. We would also, by the 12th, we should come up with, so the following meeting, that we'll actually do it the April, because that might be too much time. April, I'm all over the place here. April, we will finally coalesce all the ideas we've come up with over the semester, over the years, and put them into a tangible action plan, winnow them down to a few concrete things we want as a Senate, and we will propose them with our written document. So, and again, that's something, all ideas are welcome. Ask your friends what they want on campus. What's the most important thing? If it's more parking, if it's buffers along the rock lot, if it's puppies, if it's improved TVs in the student lounge, if it's, any of these things. We already have a survey going around. Yeah.
Speaking of the rock lot, is that not going away?
It's a short term.
I think it's gone after this year, actually.
That's what you said last year.
Oh, so the year after. Okay.
Last year we were like, oh, we're losing the rock.
However, they are destroying part of the golf course to allow for more parking, and they're building another parking garage. Exactly. But they will have more parking on campus. Possibly not. To be determined. Yeah. All right, so that's all the business that I think we can move on from here, unless anybody wants to make a motion to continue discussion or anything like that. That's a good point. Yeah. That is a
I
good
feel like the biggest thing, like from the beginning of this year, like everyone is asking for maps, and I think that like under different circumstances, and I think like we need campus to have an interactive map app for students. Because like for so many different reasons, we've had like, I think it started on retreat bathrooms for everyone and where you can find them. Study room. Reading services. Yeah,
So,
I feel like
we
it's growing.
did
I think
just have
that's
a
kind of
meeting with a number of folks on campus about the app. We were told students wouldn't use an app, so it's good to hear some might.
I was just saying that like students currently, I feel like don't have a whole lot of reason to use an app, and that it would have to be, we'd have to make it essential, where students can like obtain information that would otherwise be hard to get, and maybe maps is what it
Could
is.
it somehow be like integrated also like socially? So like instead of using like
Facebook pages, but you could also go on there and to like, I
Ask
don't know. I was
questions.
trying to think of something that might
I
entice
think,
people to actually vote. Yeah.
just so you know, it is a conversation that we are just starting around student affairs, and it's really looking at an app around wayfinding, so all of those kinds of things. An app that's functionable with transactions with the university, so paying your bills, seeing what they are, you know, so, and this is just the beginning conversation. It's going to be a while to get it going, but it's there, and so it's good to hear, because I think that's what we're hearing too. Students really want those.
So Felicia, one more time, and then we'll.
So, I'm sorry. I didn't-
No, you're good.
As far as like an app goes, I think that's a good idea, but it needs to whereas if you have a phone that can download apps, you can easily go on the web, and it's just
Like a PDF download thing.
Yeah, or something like that. It would be easy for now.
Yeah, like a compilation of certain things, like where to print on campus, where are the gender-neutral bathrooms, where are the healthy vending machines. There's only one, I think. There's only one.
That also was a contentious argument.
Student senate to
Did
know,
you-
what do we need
it's only
maps
one.
on? Yeah, because we have gender neutral bathroom map, we have some of the maps she's talking about, but we may not have all of them, so if that would be helpful for you guys, so here, these are the kinds of maps we use.
We could put them.
We can figure out where to put them.
We could put them on the Student Senate website as forms, and we can have them all listed out, so you can download whichever one you want from the Student Senate website. If we have those in PDF,
We can do it there, we can do it at campus student services, we can do them out to the
Yeah.
school. So there's lots of ways to do it. It's just, again, as you guys go, here's what we need, then we can, then we can.
The other thing that was brought up at the app meeting, which wasn't like super popular amongst the group, but was thrown out, was like having interactive maps like you have in a mall throughout the campus.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, potentially could be more or less money than anything else, but you know, that maybe it would be in the locations where people are entering the campus or where they would potentially meet them.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right.
Could we have set aside like 5 minutes and then people think about it over the next 3 weeks?
What types of maps they want, and
Next meeting, we could come up with that one.
I agree. I think we can definitely do that. So at the next meeting, think about the types of maps you and your fellow constituents want to see on this campus. And next meeting, we'll have a 5-minute discussion of the types of maps we want. And we can work together to get with facilities and everybody to get that planned out. We're actually going to look into getting either Dave Turnquist or Provost Nairn either next meeting or the following meeting. So we'll figure out whenever Dave Turnquist is coming, we can actually present that to him as well and get more feedback too. So that's a great idea. So thank you. We'll put that down there. Some maps. Awesome. Any other new business to come before us? Anybody else have any projects they want to get off the ground? Fun things? On the spot. All right. Well, we will move on to Ocss announcements. I know you guys have a couple, at least one.
What I have is that we had interviews today for finalists for a manager of student engagement. That manager will oversee student government and student organizations and help really build kind of community standards for campus. Cody and Heather both were able to meet all 4. I think everybody was pleased with all 4 of the candidates brought something interesting. I think any of them could do the job, and we've got some consensus on a candidate. So I'm hoping by next meeting we'll at least be able to make one happen.
Perfect. Heather, anything to add? We got new stars, by the way. So Heather also got different colored stars. So there are multiple. It's not just silver. So. All right. I like the idea though. Which committee you helped out and things like that. Yeah. No, it gets too complicated. All right, is there any other business to come before us, guys? Anything else you're hearing from your senators or anything, your constituents or your councils? Yeah.
We were talking about how sometimes during lectures, they don't want to step outside and just lecture or something like that. We gotta drink water. We looked into having
Like a water fountain in the, interesting.
bring a water bottle.
That seems like a lot of resource use.
Literally,
That-
the water bottle's empty now.
You can have somebody come in, designate, grab your water bottle, refill everybody's
Shh, guys, order. Yep.
The second thing was, this happened in education building
Yeah.
where the water bottle stopped working in the automatic.
It did.
There was like a contact number to reach out to.
So
You could call student services office
So you're putting
at
it by
any
the
point
flag.
for any of those things, and we can get it
Yeah.
taken care of.
okay, yeah.
You
There's
can call facilities too, but if you call student services.
put the number on the actual. I think we could do like stickers with student services number on it,
Yeah.
and just say if out of order or anything like that. Is that something we can whip up? That's a great point. And about the water, we can ask Dave Turnquist that. So when he comes, you can ask him what the feasibility of getting water stations installed. It's a reasonable question. I run out of water too. Yeah. I know retrofitting buildings to have certain things is a little bit more expensive. He'll talk more about that though. He'll talk about these things. So thank you. That's awesome. Thank you for listening to your students and bringing that to us. Anything else to come before Student Senate? Yeah.
The only other thing my other classmates have expressed concerns about is price. I don't know if we have any influence over that, but at my undergraduate institution, it's probably about 4 or 5 times that.
Right.
Yeah, this actually came up in the grad student council meeting today too.
So
the why an undergrad is bigger than a degree is because the student fee support of it. We don't have a student fee that supports it. It's been a conversation that certainly can get a revisit every time.
I'd be less grumpy about it if I didn't see it at once. If I had it built into my tuition.
Yeah, but happy would be really cranky that it wasn't.
Could you opt out?
No, so my understanding is, so we discussed this at the health promotions or whatever we're called. And my understanding from somebody who said they had like knowledge from a meeting of this, I'm not exactly sure it's current, but is that when the wellness center was approached about it, the offer they gave was just like way too high. Like for instance, RTD takes the amount of money it would be for every student to buy an RTD pass, and then more than half it. And then that's distributed among all the students as a fee. Okay, but the wellness center wasn't giving a deal like that. They were like, no, we want everybody to pay, it was close to, I think, everybody.
So I'd like to say let's not spread a hearsay rumor about like.
I mean, it was a discussion we
Yeah, I
had.
know, but what I would like to say is the truth is, if you guys want to investigate that, we should investigate it and give them a chance to say, here's what we can do, and here's a cost, but it is around the fee that the undergraduate typically have a free gym pass as part of your fee, or it's in your tuition. So if you guys say this is a priority and you really want to think about it, I think it's a conversation with the leadership of the wellness center. We really want to investigate it. What are options and negotiate it? But I don't want to go back.
All right. So we have first, and then Toast.
From the student wellness center, we all the students on this campus were members of that voluntary. We wouldn't all do it. So making it a fee for everyone. Somebody adults.
Well, the other is if you make it a fee for everyone, it is a vote.
So, guys, we're gonna move on to Tosin.
I was gonna say that I'm actually meeting with Emily Marxico. She's proposed idea of having free classes on. So we can
Yes. Thank you, Joseph. That's fantastic. Thank you. Another thing we were potentially thinking about, again, the health, Jan was saying the health and wellness center is rather, it doesn't, it's smaller. It's a smaller fitness facility, more tight knit, not as many machines. Is possibly looking at adding incentives to the health insurance in a few years. Maybe not now because we're kind of where we are, but adding incentives where that would be built in to the health insurance cost. So you would get memberships at LA Fitness or 24-Hour Fitness or something like that. But that's, again, that's not a done deal, and that's not anywhere near close to done. I'm just saying that's another possible option, so we don't overload the wellness center with all the students coming at one time. So it's also something to keep in mind if, you know, I'm not here in a few years and you guys are like, what's a good idea for getting health insurance? All right. So let's table that discussion about health because I will look into actually getting, possibly getting them here to talk about some of their, you know, the health and wellness center as a whole and what they can offer students. So maybe I'll look into getting them to a Senate meeting and we will table that. You can ask questions to them about these things. And I think we can also, we can also make a proposal to like talk with people. So that's, we're going to table that discussion for now. Any other business, anything anybody has from their fellow students? Thank you again, Blair, for bringing that up. That's awesome. Appreciate that. And thank you, Veronica. All right. As I hear no further business, is there a motion to adjourn? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions. All right, the motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you, guys. I'll be here after, so if you want to talk to me, I'm here. Execs, if you want to meet tonight, we're scheduled to meet at Cedar Creek. I'm going. Do you want to go?
I didn't get an invite. I think you just keep talking.
No, you're on it.
I swear it's on.
I will show you the calendar invite that has your name.
You didn't get an invite?
It's on, it's like in your calendar, but it's like you have to click on it. So it wasn't like an email. It was like a calendar thing.
You should say calendar.
I know. Well, I did say